Okay. I promised a second video showing more of the corruption in Beckley with the criminal system and everything else. This time we're going to focus on the harassment of my student Marlo Jordan and his brother Eric Harris. Now, I need to advise everyone watching. There's a certain little disposition in that case. See, the charges were dismissed against Marlo after I went to the prosecutor's office and to the Beckley Police Department. Of course, the prosecutor's office and Beckley Police Department weren't aware that I was taping them. And, well, it gets really interesting, too, because I kind of cut them both in that little, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, criminality. Yeah, I kind of caught them being criminals. But this is the introduction to this video. So we're going to look at some of the evidence, screenshots of some of the paperwork where multiple stories don't line up, where my name's thrown all through this, and you're going to get to see where the police called me, and then I called, well, actually I called them, told them that I wasn't coming in to talk to them. I knew it was a setup and a bunch of BS, and then I was going to exercise my 5th and 6th Amendment rights, which means if you want to talk to me, call my lawyer. And, well, from previous court cases, I've learned that if I have a public defender or a court-appointed attorney and the police want to talk to me, they therefore have to refer to my court-appointed attorney, even if it's not the case in which the court-appointed attorney is the court-appointed attorney for that case, because anything I say might impact that case, and therefore I have a right to have that attorney present. It's an interesting little thing how that works out, but okay. Anyway, so we're going to examine the evidence here. We're going to watch the videos of me and my little discussion with Corporal Stewart. Then we're going to look at how botched up the paperwork was. Important fact to remember in this is that apparently in his thing, his little file, he says he knocked on my door on City Avenue. Yet I was told the same day this assault occurred on Taryn Price that my door was actually kicked completely out of the wall, like the door facing was completely torn out of the wall. Apparently the landlord didn't secure the door facing properly, so whenever someone tried to kick in my door, the deadbolt ripped the facing, which wasn't properly secured, completely out with it, and it fell into the kitchen. Okay, I'm going to call Corporal Stewart, who's investigating me for the, I guess, home invasion, ass-kicking, whatever, of Terrence Price. He's lied to me and told me to come straight with him, so I know he's full of shit. And, well, just to make a point in this little video here, the day that all this occurred, I have spoken with Amber's grandmother. That's a matter of my records, on my phone records to prove it. So here's the deal. I'm going to call him. I'm going to let him know that I'm going to plead my 5th and 6th Amendment rights. I'm going to let him know that Amber Willis asked me for help. And, well, that's what me and Terrence beef is. And he can do whatever the fuck he wants to with it. I don't care. After that, I plead my 5th and 6th Amendment rights. And this is a recording because it's the only statement I'm going to make to him under my terms where I can record it. Appears to be busy. Let me call back. Yes, is this Corporal Stewart?
No, who's calling? I'll see you here.
Ronald Collins.
Who is it?
Ronald Collins.
Give me just a second, okay?
Okay.
Corporal Stewart.
Yeah, Corporal Stewart, this is Ronald Collins. I was going to call and inform you I'm not going to be coming in today.
Okay. When would you be able to make it up here?
Well, here's the thing about it. I'm not going to come in. You told me to be straight with you, and you're not being straight with me. I know this whole thing is... No, hold on. I know this is not about some car accident. This is about somebody kicking in Taryn's door and beating the crap out of him. I know about this because Amber's grandmother called me before you did and told me that someone did it and he was dropping my name to the police. I also know that you're just going to ask me information to get information from me to try to build a case against me. So at this time, I want to plead my 5th and 6th Amendment rights and tell you I'm not going to speak with you without an attorney present. I had nothing to do with this, and you know what? I'm not going to sit here and let you fabricate information on me and lie to me. You told me to come straight with you, so I'm coming straight with you. Yeah, I'm done. Thus, my statement. Alright. Hello? Yes.
Speak just a minute ago, so I called you back.
Okay.
My concern right now is the vehicle that was hit on City Avenue with your truck. I'm well aware of what happened with the door incident and someone kicking it in. Thus far, your name has not been brought up in that.
Really? Because that's amazing that Amber's grandmother tells me that my name was dropped in the whole incident, and there was no vehicle struck with my truck on City Avenue.
How'd the damage get on that Dodge truck then?
That would be, I hit a buggy at the, what is it, Kroger's in, hell, it's up there, it's not quite, Marmette. I went to Charleston. When I was coming back from Kroger's because I stopped to get me something to drink, I hit a buggy with the truck because I couldn't see the buggy sliding out because the truck was too big. That's why I switched to a smaller car.
Okay. The reason I called you, a gentleman down on City Avenue told me that you were driving a silver truck and saw a vehicle get hit by that truck in the parking lot of the old apartments where you lived at.
Okay. Who was these people, incidentally?
I'm one of the people who live in the apartments. We were down there on a call, and we started talking to people, and one of the people we talked to said that he saw a silver truck just hit a car down there.
Okay, would this car be black, by any chance, with North Carolina license plates on it?
I don't have the report here with me, but I don't remember it being a black car. So.
Well, here's the thing about it, because we have a certain group of people in that apartment building which is running around making false claims against other people in that apartment building for First Property Solutions. You can check with my neighbor Vern. I forget which building, which apartment he lives in, but it's upstairs. It's the door directly in front of you. They've called the police on him multiple times, made up lies about him knocking holes in the wall and everything else. I've already had to do a video of it for him to show that his apartment and everything else wasn't trash, because that's what First Property was claiming.
Well, I find it somewhat strange about the door getting kicked in that you bring that up. I don't know how that information got to you.
I told you Amber's grandmother informed me before you guys ever did that his door got kicked in. Somebody kicked the crap out of him, and he was dropping my name. I've already had incidents with this boy threatening to shoot me, dressing up all in black and everything else. We've had a few words across Facebook, and I've done everything I can to try to piss him off to come out of that house so that I could get my hands on him. Amber has asked me for help because he has threatened her family and everything else, and she doesn't feel she can go to the police because he will cut the brake lines or some other shit like he hollers all the time, and y'all won't do anything about it. There's a whole mess of stuff going on. And like I told you, as far as I'm concerned, I've never hit a car. There's no the damage done to the truck was done with a buggy. There's witnesses to that were there with me. All that stuff has been dealt with. And as far as I'm concerned, I find it amazing that, you know, my neighbors are telling me cops are rolling up at fucking my new apartment at Hardgrove and coming to my apartment door and everything else after her grandmother tells me that, you know, he dropped my name to the police because somebody kicked in his door. That boy has ripped off so many people, snitched on so many people, and is running around claiming to be a blood. So, I mean, dude, you have a long list of people. I'm just the most recent one.
I can tell you right now, he did not say you kicked his door in and came in on it.
Well, I have no idea.
I'm telling you that straight up. He
But,
did not say Ron Collins kicked my door in and came in.
okay, I don't know, dude. Like I said, I don't know anything about it. As far as I'm concerned, the way I look at it, with the information she gave me, with the claims he made, and everything else, that this is supposed to be somehow connected to me because that's what Amber hollered at her grandmother, because that's what Taryn hollered at her. My whole standpoint on it is the only reason you're looking for information on the vehicle is to try to link me to whatever the fuck happened. And yeah, I lived on that apartment. Yes, I did have a silver truck to move my stuff out of that apartment. Yes, I was enjoying the silver truck because it had a nice radio system to it with the satellite and everything else. And yes, I have visited people in my old apartment building with that truck. Never hit a car, had nothing to do with that bullshit with Taryn. I'm sick and tired of him like making up shit or doing shit and trying to call the cops on me. This is just, I mean, in all seriousness, I'm bringing this up because I've already been told by other people, and I'm telling you exactly who told me. So at any point in time, you can check their phone records or mine and find out where they have called me. Anything other than that, dude, I really don't care. Like I said, I choose to exercise my 5th and 6th Amendment rights, which means I'm not going to talk to you without a lawyer. I'm not going to self-incriminate myself, which means this conversation is over. You're the one who called me back. That's a clear violation of my 5th and 6th Amendment rights. I've recorded both of these phone calls to make that point. Now, unless you want to get into a 1983 claim, we'll talk about it later. Or not at all. Otherwise, I'm done. I've told you I'm done. Please stop calling me. This is harassment.
Okay.
And yes, I will file a deprivation of civil rights under color of law. Okay, now we're going to examine the first little piece of evidence here. This is the statement from Leanne, something or other, I can't even pronounce it, something to ski, from Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Now, this is where I came in and she fed out the statement for the police officer. Actually, she typed it up herself. And it was really interesting because she mentions that I came in with the company of 3 black males. But while she's describing one of these males, Eric Harris, she describes him as having black hair, brown eyes, dark skin. Now, according to, as you're going to see later on, according to Corporal Stewart's little report, apparently one of the witnesses places a mixed kid there. And the only mixed kid there would be Taryn Price, so I'm not quite sure what this guy saw. Then we get down to Marlowe, in which she describes him as having, he had a medium skin tone. Actually, Marlowe's about a little bit darker than Eric, but okay. Oh, I'm sorry. No. She was describing another person there. One of the 3 black men I was with. But yeah, she still describes Marlowe as having a medium skin tone. I'm not really sure. I think he's a little bit darker than his brother, to be honest with you. But either way, she clearly defines me as having arrived with 3 black males. Okay, now we're going to look at the voluntary statement of Taryn's girlfriend, Amber. And she says, Eric Harris kicked in the door at my boyfriend's residence and assaulted Taryn Price the second time. They came the first time. They just asked to talk to Taryn. I told him he wasn't here. They came back, kicked in the door, and assaulted my boyfriend. That's all she says. In fact, we'll also take a look at Taryn's statement. I can barely read this, so you have to forgive me here. It says, Eric Harris kicked my door in and assaulted me. And something scribbled out, I guess he was trying to spell threatened. Threatened me that Ron Collins was going to call me out to fight in 24 hours. This would be the same time somebody kicked in my door. And I don't know why Eric was mentioned. I think it's because Taryn claims to be a blood. Eric also claims to be a blood. And I believe there's this thing with the Bloods that if somebody wants to fight you, you have to fight them. And me and Taryn had issues where he tried to kill me. So, twice. So, they decided to settle up the score and make us fight, which is probably why my door got kicked in. But on the video, you'll see that Corporal Stewart knew about that, but yet intentionally leaves it out of his police report. Okay, now we're going to look at the statement for the arrest warrant. This was actually attached to an arrest warrant. I'm just not going to have the cover sheet with all the info up there because it's dry. But it's signed by Corporal Stewart. This was his statement. And when you get to looking in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 line down, it says the victim knows Harris and Jordan personally as acquaintances through a mutual friend, Ronald Collins. Now, the thing about this is it's actually the other way around. I know Eric Harris and Marlo Jordan because of Taryn. Because of Taryn, I met Marlo, and since me and Marlo are both into fighting and martial arts and stuff like that, we started training together, which is how Marlo became my student. We're also going to look at the statement of Matthew McBride. This would be Taryn's neighbor. Taryn lives on the corner of Carter Street and City Avenue, and Mr. McBride lives on City Avenue. His front door faces Taryn's back door, which is an interesting thing to bear in mind because he states right here that a mixed kid with long hair, approximately 135 to 150 pounds, red bandana, older man, white, 40s, chubby-faced, black hair, driver. The mixed kid comes up in the Dodge, puts on the bandana, and walks up by my house, which would be in front of his house, I guess. He disappears around the house. Now, this is the funny thing about it. If he's sitting at the front of his house, and for Eric to disappear around the house, or anyone to disappear around the house, they wouldn't actually be at the back door. They'd have to go around to the side or the front of the house. So this actually is counterproductive to whatever they're stating. Devil is in the details. Most likely this guy was told, well, did you say this? Or, this guy's a bad guy and you have to say this. So he put things down, but he didn't put things down quite all that accurate because he was being pressured to say them. I don't know. That's just my theory. It's what it looks like. But the funny thing about it is he mentions a mixed kid. And if you go back to Miss Leanne, she refers to Mr. Harris as having dark skin. She refers to Marlo as having a I guess you would say a medium skin tone. I'm not sure what that means. And then another unknown individual with a medium skin tone. I'm not sure what medium skin tone means. My assumption would be that they're not white because they're black guys, but okay. And she does mention that I showed up in the company of 3 black males. Not mixed kids, 3 black males. So that's again counterproductive to a lot of the stuff in here. The evidence, the material's not matching up. Now, for the police officer himself being the investigator, he can ignore this stuff, but any good lawyer, any good private investigator hell, even me, I can look at it and see where not a lot of things line up. It's, I don't know how to explain it. And before all this occurred, there was a lot of incidents with a supposed mixed kid who was living in my apartment in City Avenue with me, and the every time this mixed kid would, spray paint graffiti on something or break into a house or whatever, they would come to my house. Now, again, this comes under the issue that Taryn Price is a snitch and informant for the Beckley Police Department. Has to be, because he's pissed off a lot of people and he's not a fighter. He's actually a coward. So I'm thinking this comes under that whole issue with the police using informants to commit crimes to blame on other people. And we're even going to see where more of this comes in other instances later. At more pages, some of the pages from the actual incident report. Now, this is the first page of the incident report, in which, if you'll notice in the little areas I got red, you can read the rest of this if you want. But he states that the suspects told the victim they would be back in an hour. Well, how are they going to be back? How are they going to state they're going to be back in an hour if he said 24 hours, or wrote 24 hours on his statement? Again, not a lot of the information's matching up. Again, there's that mention of the back door to his residence was what was kicked in. Now, that's important because, remember, Matthew McBride's front door will face Taryn's back door. We get into here that, again, in the incident report, this is where he was talking to Leanne from Enterprise. He says that I was in the company of 3 black males. Okay, so how is it that during this whole report, everyone, including the victims, only either sees 1 white male and 1 black male, or 2 black males, except for Leanne at Enterprise, who seen me in the company of 3 black males? And bear in mind, when I dropped my keys off at my old apartment, I was in the company of 3 black males and my cousin Jack, which is also mentioned in the report as well from Leanne. I dropped him off before I went up there because he didn't want to answer questions about me hitting the buggy. So you pretty much get to see right there where not a lot of that in the paperwork matches up. Now, that's important because I'm going to that's important too, because the cop left out that key fact that my door was kicked in. Not just Taryn's, but my door, which shows the fact that he was biased in he was coming to attack me and my students and harass us. Now, bear in mind, since my little stunt on the Beckley police and bringing this information to them and doing things the way I did it, and I even told Captain Rogers what I was going to do, and he's now guilty of a crime himself. I'll explain that at the end of the video. Actually, I'll explain it right now. There's a code in West Virginia law. I don't remember the exact code off the top of my head. I'll put it up at the bottom of the screen here. Where rewarding of past behavior, past criminal behavior, violations, anything like that, is a crime. I don't remember if it's a misdemeanor or a felony, but it's still a crime. Now, both Corporal Stewart and his little buddy, Capehart, who helped him in this whole affair, both of them were promoted for coming up with new and innovative ways to catch criminals. That's setting people up. Anyway, Corporal Stewart even admits that he knew my door was kicked in, but he wasn't going to do anything about it. He didn't care. I don't know if that was the 3rd time that Taryn tried to kill me. I don't know if this was some stunt by him to try to make me look like I'm the bad guy, or if he's setting me up, in conjunction with these cops or what. I do know City Avenue is patrolled by multiple officers, and three of which that I know, or actually four of which that I know patrol the area: Walls, Capehart, Stewart, and yes, Officer Redden. Relation to Jason Redden, relation to Ashley Redden. Seems kind of funny when you come into the whole there's a Redden mixed in there. But we're going to look at the audio recording of me and Corporal Stewart. Okay, I'm going to call Corporal Stewart, who's investigating me for the, I guess, home invasion, ass-kicking, whatever, of Terrence Price. He's lied to me and told me to come straight with him, so I know he's full of shit. And, well, just to make a point in this little video here, the day that all this occurred, I have spoken with Amber's grandmother. That's a matter of my records, on my phone records, to prove it. So here's the deal. I'm going to call him. I'm going to let him know that I'm going to plead my 5th and 6th Amendment rights. I'm going to let him know that Amber Willis asked me for help. And, well, that's what me and Terrence beef is. And he can do whatever the fuck he wants to with it. I don't care. After that, I plead my 5th and 6th Amendment rights. And this is a recording because it's the only statement I'm going to make to him under my terms where I can record it. Appears to be busy. Let me call back. Yes, is this Corporal Stewart?
No, who's calling? I'll see if he's here.
Ronald Collins.
Who is it?
Ronald Collins.
Give me just a second, okay?
Okay. Yeah, Corporal Stewart, this is Ronald Collins. I was going to call and inform you I'm not going to be coming in today.
Okay. When would you be able to make it up here?
Well, here's the thing about it. I'm not going to come in. You told me to be straight with you, and you're not being straight with me. I know this whole thing is... No, hold on. I know this is not about some car accident. This is about somebody kicking in Taryn's door and beating the crap out of him. I know about this because Amber's grandmother called me before you did and told me that someone did it and he was dropping my name to the police. I also know that you're just going to ask me information to get information from me to try to build a case against me. So at this time I want to plead my 5th and 6th Amendment rights and tell you I'm not going to speak with you without an attorney present. I had nothing to do with this, and you know what? I'm not going to sit here and let you fabricate information on me and lie to me. You told me to come straight with you, so I'm coming straight with you. Yeah, I'm done. Thus, my statement. Alright. Hello? Yes.
Speak just a minute ago, so I called you back.
Okay.
My concern right now is the vehicle that was hit on City Avenue with your truck. I'm well aware of what happened with the door incident and someone kicking it in. Thus far, your name has not been brought up in that.
Really? Because that's amazing that Amber's grandmother tells me that my name was dropped in the whole incident, and there was no vehicle struck with my truck on City Avenue.
How'd the damage get on that Dodge truck then?
That would be, I hit a buggy at the, what is it, Kroger's in, hell, it's up there, it's not quite, Marmet. I went to Charleston. When I was coming back from Kroger's, because I stopped to get me something to drink, I hit a buggy with the truck because I couldn't see the buggy sliding out because the truck was too big. That's why I switched to a smaller car.
Okay. The reason I called you, a gentleman down on City Avenue told me that you were driving a silver truck and saw a vehicle get hit by that truck in the parking lot of the old apartments where you lived at.
Okay, who was these people, incidentally?
One of the people who live in the apartments. We were down there on a call, and we started talking to people, and one of the people we talked to said that he saw a silver truck just hit a car down there.
Okay, would this car be black, by any chance, with North Carolina license plates on it?
I don't have the report here with me. I don't remember it being a black car. So.
Well, here's the thing about it, because we have a certain group of people in that apartment building which is running around making false claims against other people in that apartment building for First Property Solutions. You can check with my neighbor Vern. I forget which building, which apartment he lives in, but it's upstairs. It's the door directly in front of you. They've called the police on him multiple times, made up lies about him knocking holes in the wall and everything else. I've already had to do a video of it for him to show that his apartment and everything else wasn't trash, because that's what First Property was claiming.
Well, I find it somewhat strange about the door getting kicked in as you bring that up. I don't know how that information got to you.
I told you Amber's grandmother informed me before you guys ever did that his door got kicked in. Somebody kicked the crap out of him, and he was dropping my name. I've already had incidents with this boy threatening to shoot me, dressing up all in black and everything else. We've had a few words across Facebook, and I've done everything I can to try to piss him off to come out of that house so that I could get my hands on him. Amber has asked me for help because he has threatened her family and everything else, and she doesn't feel she can go to the police because he will cut the brake lines or some other shit like he hollers all the time, and y'all won't do anything about it. There's a whole mess of stuff going on. And like I told you, as far as I'm concerned, I've never hit a car. There's no the damage done to the truck was done with a buggy. There's witnesses to that were there with me. All that stuff has been dealt with. And as far as I'm concerned, I find it amazing that, my neighbors are telling me cops are rolling up at fucking my new apartment at Hardgrove and coming to my apartment door and everything else after her grandmother tells me that, he dropped my name to the police because somebody kicked in his door. That boy has ripped off so many people, snitched on so many people, and is running around claiming to be a blood. So, I mean, dude, you have a long list of people. I'm just the most recent one.
I can tell you right now, he did not say you kicked his door in and came in on it.
Well, I have no idea.
I'm telling you that straight up. He did not say Ron Collins kicked my door in and came in.
Okay, I don't know, dude. Like I said, I don't know anything about it. As far as I'm concerned, the way I look at it with the information she gave me, with the claims he made and everything else, that this is supposed to be somehow connected to me because that's what Amber hollered at her grandmother, because that's what Taryn hollered at her. My whole standpoint on it is the only reason you're looking for information on the vehicle is to try to link me to whatever the fuck happened. And I lived on that apartment. Yes, I did have a silver truck to move my stuff out of that apartment. Yes, I was enjoying the silver truck because it had a nice radio system to it with the satellite and everything else. And yes, I have visited people in my old apartment building with that truck. Never hit a car, had nothing to do with that bullshit with Taryn. I'm sick and tired of him like making up shit or doing shit and trying to call the cops on me. This is just, I mean, in all seriousness, I'm bringing this up because I've already been told by other people, and I'm telling you exactly who told me. So at any point in time, you can check their phone records or mine and find out where they have called me. Anything other than that, dude, I really don't care. Like I said, I choose to exercise my 5th and 6th Amendment rights, which means I'm not going to talk to you without a lawyer. I'm not going to self-incriminate myself, which means this conversation is over. You're the one who called me back. That's a clear violation of my 5th and 6th Amendment rights. I've recorded both of these phone calls to make that point. Now, unless you want to get into a 1983 claim, we'll talk about it later. Or not at all. Otherwise, I'm done. I've told you I'm done. Please stop calling me. This is harassment.
Okay.
And yes, I will file a deprivation of civil rights under color of law.
Police officers and police officers using undercover Do you have an attorney?
No, I do not.
Are you charged with anything?
No, I'm not.
What?
Have you been charged with anything in the past?
In the past, yes.
Yeah, because that name really wasn't.
I'm the one that beat up Trooper Duckworth in the magistrate's office.
You did what?
I'm the one that beat the living crap out of State Trooper Duckworth in the magistrate's office when he grabbed me by the throat.
Well, we're not an investigating agency. You'll need to call up an agency that's either...
Well, I know that. Here's the thing about it. I'm going to... She's not the only person I'm going to with this evidence, but the evidence is still there. I still need to give it to her very specifically.
Well, that's not going to happen. She's not an evidence taker. She doesn't take evidence. She's a prosecutor. What you need to do, we prosecute cases that are investigated by law enforcement.
Okay, that's fine. And this also correlates to a case that you guys are currently prosecuting, because it's actually evidence in that case where the cops falsified evidence against the guy who got the car stolen from him and everything else.
Okay, what you need to do is talk to that guy and find out who his attorney is, and you can take that evidence to him.
He has a copy of it as well.
Okay.
But since a great deal of this actually shows, because I got to make a trip down to the Beckley Police Department to see Chief Deeds as well. And
Chief who?
the Chief of the Beckley Police Department, Tim Deeds. Deans. I got to see him as well, since he's the one that's over top of it doing the investigation and everything else.
Okay, that's what you need to do.
But either way, I was wanting to give her a copy to, so have everything up on the speed.
Like you said, she doesn't take evidence.
I mean, there's nothing we can do with it until we get a police investigation and report.
Well, see, that's going to be the problem, because I can't guarantee the cops are going to investigate. So I'm trying to get the information to her because, basically, she might not be an investigating agency, but what I'm hoping for, or what I'm thinking here, is that if, you know what, I'll tell you what, can you just put this on her desk? Because some of this is what you would consider, I guess in legal terms, exculpatory evidence in a certain situation, and some of it does play back because it does show where officers have conspired, tried to falsify evidence and everything else. And it applies to the court case.
I'll take you back.
Captain Rogers. I don't think somebody in charge of all the road patrol. They kind of briefed with She briefly told me that you had a situation where you said some officers were, I guess, taking some information to inform.
No. Well, this started off with the Sheriff's Department, so I have to go to the Sheriff's Manor after SEU. But I brought the same little packet of information to Crispin Kelly. The reason I did so is because, and there's a thing in here that describes the whole situation. There's also a video in there that supports a lot of the stuff that I said.
Now, are you going to leave this for us?
Yes,
the chief is out today, that's why they referred me to you, but I'll make sure we'll go.
Okay, well, very specifically, it involves 3 patrolmen and potentially 1 detective.
Here, in this department?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Patrolman, and what is the malfeasance that
basically just fabricating evidence. False arrest under the guise of fabricating evidence. It's in the prosecutor's office, because a lot of stuff I'll point out into there, that I point out in my whole little piece of paper there for you, a lot of that's, it's basically the tip of the iceberg. I have a lot more video and a lot of other stuff, but it's very, like I said, it's very much the tip of the iceberg. Before the situation began and my friends became arrested, one of them had his car stolen from by a guy named John Frank. He forged his name on the title and everything else. Which shouldn't be too hard for anyone to just go to the DMV, look up the records, see his signature, the other signature, and see if it matches. You know, well, that's on there. Well, that came into a whole situation where they wouldn't really do anything, and then I started getting phone calls from a, I don't remember his range, he's a patrolman, State Park. Getting calls from him, and then there's a, what kind of call? What was he calling? He was calling me about some graffiti stuff. People kept saying people in my apartment, people in my apartment, people in my apartment, and it wasn't people in my apartment. People who were stabbing wasn't the people who were usually visiting me in my apartment or anything like that. Okay. Right now it's 222 Hardgrove Street, apartment 608. Is this the same apartment you were in? No, the one I was at was on City Avenue. I was having issues with the guy up the street because his girlfriend was a friend of mine, and he was beating on her, threatening to kill her family and everything else. What was your apartment number on Hardgrove Street? Number 8, did you say? No, I think it was 4. 222 Hardgrove Street, number 4? Oh, 608. Oh, 608. Yeah, I thought I had 608. Yeah. But that erupted into a whole situation between me and him. I heard the recordings on here, more specifically, the video of Corporal Stewart. I filmed that off of a webcam on a laptop. It has the number that has been used to call me continuously from K-Park's phone. Now, before the incidents occurred on City Avenue, I was being called by K-Park about some graffiti stuff and all this other crap, and then finally harassed continuously until I finally just not only came up here, but brought everybody who hung out with me at that point in time. One of them was a student of mine, and then my cousin, and then his brother and his brother's friends, who usually end up training with us on the side of me and his brother's ring. And what type of training, what type of classes are you taking? Martial arts right now. I'm actually training Marlo in Ninjutsu and a style I've kind of pioneered myself called Street Focus Jiu-Jitsu. Which is a little bit more closely related to MMA. I make it look like Muay Thai and other stuff. At like the more advanced levels, we include close quarters firearms tactics and stuff like that. So that way, if you do take the gun away from an assailant, you know how to use it. He still hasn't made it out of the basic stuff. Okay, all right. So ain't got to worry about that way. But and really, he doesn't really want to get into the advanced expert material where you start working with weapons because he's more interested in wanting to get into MMA. And I got connections. Well, I did have a connection. He got a divorce and sold his school, but I had a connection with the guy who used to be a kickboxing instructor out of Miguel Perez in Chicago. And then I'm affiliated with Frank Dukes and several other people. And then on top of that, there's a conversation there with me and the dude in question. When him and her was going through some issues, she wanted me to talk to him. I didn't like playing the middleman, so I recorded the conversation and let her listen to it so she could hear both sides, and it wasn't going to be this person said this person said that. And there's a lot of stuff on there where he basically, at first he kind of admits to psychologically abusing her and then kind of denies it. And then who is this? This would be my friend Amber's boyfriend, the one that our issue started over. And then there was a conversation I had with Amber Willis' grandmother that she tried to get me to kill him. Trying to get you to kill him? Yes. There you have a conspiracy to commit murder between me and her on that, plain and simple. I never carried it out. You offered you money to... No, she started off as, I wish somebody would just beat his ass and do this and all this other stuff. And I was like, well, I can go down and do this if you want, because she's tried it 2 other times before. And then she just finally come out and said, I don't care what you do, go down there and kill him. I can call her to come up here so she won't be down. You can kick the door and go in and kill him and all this other stuff. Where does he live? Carter Street's right off City Avenue. Anyway, And then this is where my brake lines was cut. This is the video where I took it with a cell phone. He actually cut my brake lines, which is what started our serious issues.
Okay.
Following that, now the video of Corporal Stewart, a real interesting thing to note on here is I've read the police report from Marlowe's arrest. I've read his arrest report. One of the key things on there of interest is that Corporal Stewart said he came to my apartment and knocked on the door with no answer. I found out when I talked to my neighbors that my door had been kicked in before that.
Okay.
So it's kind of hard to go to my door and knock on it when it's not even on the hinge.
Now, the video of Corporal Stewart, what does it show? What is it about?
Basically, I called him and told him that he really wasn't coming out clean with me. He was telling me some kind of vehicular accident. He started off talking about my stick, then he changed it to the Dodge Ram that I was driving, which I was driving that when Officer Capehart started harassing me to begin with. And then basically, it shows certain indiscrepancies in his report, that door being one of them specifically, because basically he pretty much falsified a lot of evidence, 90% of it, and at a certain point during the conversation, I told him he wasn't coming straight with me, he wasn't being honest with me, so I had no reason to be honest with him. I had been told by Amber's grandmother that my name had been dropped and that they were trying to, come at me and everything else. So I told him, I just wasn't going to talk to him. I was going to exercise my Fifth and 60 minute rights. I said it exactly like that. We're done. And hung the phone up. Then he called me back.
He called you right back?
He called me right back. I didn't get arrested.
That was Stewart or Capehart?
That was Stewart calling from Capehart's phone.
All right. Now, the 256-1723 number is not a cell phone. That's actually the landline in the patrolman's office.
Oh, really?
That's not a cell phone. That's the number for a patrolman's office, which is the office right behind this wall.
Well, you know what? That's great, because that really will help. That really solves the issue completely. Because prior to that, in early December, you can just look it up and see where multiple phone calls have been made from that phone to my cell phone at 304-680-0878.
Do you have your cell phone records to show the number now?
Sometimes it was called blocked, sometimes it wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah, it basically shows that. And then when I went to kind of did my own little investigation, looking into some stuff, I decided to check up on John Frank, and I've noticed that he's had a lot of charges dismissed due to plea agreements with the state of West Virginia, or the prosecutor's office. And another name came up, which was Detective Allard. Now, that's an important thing to bear in mind because my cousin Jack used to date this girl named Rachel, whose mom's kind of what's the best way to, she's a pillhead. I'm sure you're familiar with the whole Christy Farmer incident. That would be Rachel's cousin.
Okay.
And from during this whole situation, her mother, when she left the house because she turned 18 and she had $30-some thousand in the bank, which her family stolen from her. Her mom threatened to send a bunch of gun-toting bikers to my house.
How does Allard claim of this?
Apparently, according to Tammy Violet and Robert Townsend, that Detective Allard is their good buddy. He'll cover up for them, and he'll do whatever they want, and he'll get people to attack them, and yada, yada, yada.
Robert Townsend and who?
Tammy Violet, yeah. They both live together.
Violet?
Violet, yeah.
Willington?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I guess the one detective you're referring to is Allard, correct?
Yeah.
And who is the?
And like I said with Allard, it's a potential thing. I really don't have anything other than Tammy and him running around saying he's their buddy and they're going to cover up for him. And except for the court records, which show that charges were magically dismissed against John Frank, and the arresting officer was Allard. But
Who's the third patrol officer?
Stewart, Capehart, and Walls. And my only issue with Walls is that he didn't investigate the brake lines being cut.
Walls, W-A-L-L or W-A-U-G-H?
I'm not sure. I think it's W-A-L-L.
He's a day shift guy. It would have been during the morning?
It would have been at night. He's on the video. Like I said, I included the video of the brake lines when I was up there talking to the guy at the collision repair.
Right.
Because Wallace told me that the collision shop would have to be the ones to call the police if the brake lines were cut.
If they actually found they were cut, right.
Yeah, well, the problem was they can't determine that they're cut, and they're not really a forensic investigation. They don't really do a forensic investigation. I've been trained in EMPs, and I've, can I sit this paper there? I'll show you something I'm talking about. I actually have the brake lines. The collision repair took it off.
Which we said you talked about.
It don't matter. I can...
There you go.
Well, let's see if for a moment. All right, the brake line is basically a circle, okay? Now, and I do have the brake lines. I've taken pictures of the brake lines and everything else. You'll also mention me talking about it on the brake lines here.
Okay.
I mentioned this, the walls and everything else, but apparently nothing gets done, and I've heard from other people that Karen is basically an informant for the police and everything else. So.
Which Taryn?
Taryn Price.
T-E-R-Y-N. Okay, that's your name right here. Okay.
Anyway, the damage to the brake line was basically this area here was completely cut through, and this right here was basically frayed. And the bad part to it is that kind of matches a shearing action of like scissors. And I know Taryn uses 10 cents to cut the brake lines when he's adjusting the brakes on his dirt bike. In fact, me and him was discussing the situation before all this happened, and I mentioned that on there. I don't know if I mentioned that on there, but he very pointedly said something about somebody cutting the brake lines, and originally said it was for some kind of story, and then let it slip that some dude wanted to beat his ass, and he was going to go and cut the guy's brake lines, but that was after.
So he's notorious for cutting brake lines?
He's burned down a house when he was a juvenile. He runs around claiming he's a blood, which I have known him to have gang affiliations. I have two people who are witnesses to him threatening to kill Amber's grandmother, her step-grandfather, and her sister. Now, the messed up situation with the Amber thing, me and her became friends because I went to talk to Taryn because I was having issues with my ex-fiance, and he noticed both of us. He used to be like the youngest kid in the group around all of us, so he's like the only one that really kind of stayed out of all the drama.
Okay.
But he pretty much knew everybody, so I was kind of just like, went to go talk to him because I knew somebody that actually knew what was going on. And when I did, me and his girlfriend got to talking. We got to being really cool. Part of that was because a lot of times he'd just ignore both of us and go do something else. And when me and her got to being friends talking, she told me this story about how her step-grandfather raped her, and that her mom made her, not her mom, but her grandmother made her lie in court and say that that it didn't happen. And they did this because when the incident occurred, her parents were getting a divorce, and her mom's in a wheelchair. Her sister's physically and mentally handicapped as well as deformed, and her grandmother threatened to basically throw them out on the street if she didn't change her story. And that kind of made me take notice because the second time she was all like, oh, I wish somebody would go, mess up Taryn and he's hurting her and all this other stuff. And I was just kind of like, well, hold on, you're on time talking about these big scary guys in your family. Why don't you send one of them to do it if that's what you're really worried about? And then when she kept trying to push that stuff towards me, I kind of got a little worried, which is why I taped the conversation between me and her. And then following that, allegedly, Taryn tried to, allegedly they're claiming that I dropped two of my friends off, Marlo and Eric, who have known Taryn since like middle school. I met Marlo and Eric through Taryn actually. And supposedly dropped them off at his house. They kicked in his door and beat the crap out of him.
I see Jack Grimes' name on here too.
Yeah, it's my cousin. Unfortunately.
All right. Who was the guy's name you said charged to drop again? John Frank, though, you said?
Yeah, he was the one that stole Marlo's car.
John Frank.
And right now, I mean, as the whole situation is played out, like I said, I got the evidence of Corporal Stewart basically trying to harass me. This is following on top of having K-Part continuously calling me over some stupid stuff. We came up here. They're more aware. In fact, we found Marlowe's stolen car being driven around by some guy that everybody knows is Hunt. I don't know what his real name is.
Who was falsely, you said there was some false arrests made.
That would be Marlowe, Jordan, and Edwards.
They were arrested?
They were arrested based on Taryn and Amber's statement.
Okay, Marlowe, Jordan. And who? Taryn?
No, Marlowe, Jordan, and Eric Harris. Yeah, they're both brothers. Marlowe was student of mine. And,
they arrested by, who arrested?
Marlowe was arrested by K-Part. K-Part had called me with the number blocked. I even asked my conversation with Officer Stewart and told me that they were going to do something about Marlowe's car. They were going to give him a touch of a deputy to get him to help him with the car and all this other stuff. And then when Marlowe showed up here, they arrested him, told him they dismissed charges against him if they said that, you know, I was detained and all this other stuff. Because the only thing they had to go on was Taryn's statement that apparently I dropped them off. And me and Taryn had issues from him threatening her. And so...
It's Taryn, T-E-R-Y-N.
T-E-R-Y-N, yeah.
Male or female?
No.
Male. He's the one talking about the dirt bike cutting with the 10
Yeah. He's the one that's burned down a house as a juvenile. He's all the time threatening that he's going to shoot people. He's got this weird fascination with snipers.
And they took you arrested by K-Part on statements from who?
Taryn and Amber. And this is where the interesting thing comes in at, because if you go examining your phone records from, you'll see that phone out there has been used to call my phone multiple times over the latter part of December. And
what's Amber's last name?
Willow.
Willow, W-I-L-O-W.
And like I said, I have a conversation between me and her grandmother where she's just like, oh, I want somebody to go in and kick his door in and beat his ass and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. And I tried to say, I laid it on real thick about, you know, I'm hardwired to kill things and, you know, embellished a little bit, talking about my mom used to date a mob hitman. And I was still the truth. I wasn't a Marine Corps in the Army. And I, you know, I laid it out real thick that, you know, if I go kick his door in and beat the crap out of him, I'm going to kill him. She's like, oh, I don't care. And then she started trying to talk to me about, yeah, and I just left that alone and I walked away.
Who was Eric Harris arrested by? Who got the charges on that?
Stewart, I believe.
Same statements by Taryn and Amber?
Same statements by Taryn and Amber. And a lot of, for example, one of the reports made by Officer Stewart, and I'm waiting to get a copy of my phone records.
All right.
The approximate times on it are completely incorrect and do not match my phone records. Because the times that he gives for the statement, which isn't signed, just typed up on a sheet of paper and credited to this Luann Lewinsky girl. I don't know what her, I can't pronounce her last name. It's not mentioned on that. I didn't see that until a couple days ago. But according to that statement, which again was all typed up and everything else by Corporal Stewart, and it doesn't have any signature to it or anything. According to that, or it was either Stewart or K-Part, whichever. According to that, it basically reads out that I came up there at 1:15 and didn't get done with my car until 1:30. And the problem was we was sitting in the parking lot like for a good minute before that because I was on the phone. And then when we went into the there, because it was me at the time, it was me and 3 other guys, including Marlowe and Eric.
What was what was the initial call that Stewart or K-Part responded to that started this whole thing? What was the very initial call?
Well, see, this is the problem. I don't know. I started getting the calls and everything from K-Part from that phone in the
So
back.
you had not called the police for anything?
No.
To report anything at all?
No, I had been, like I said, I had originally been getting calls from K-Part coming from that phone in the back office, where
Allegations were made against you by, did they tell you whom?
Well, no, they wouldn't tell me who made allegations against me. Supposedly it wasn't against me, it was against people in my apartment.
It's been Marlo and Eric.
At the time, no. Marlo and Eric would come by and visit me, but they weren't like living in my apartment. There was nobody living in my apartment but me. I had a lot of people who come by to visit because we had a big TV and all kinds of fun little toys and stuff. And a lot of the people I was around were coming to me because they were training me in martial arts and stuff. Because I was going to have a school set up, but a lot of chaos came out of it. I was going to get the building underneath that little spot down there where Acme Bonding used to have where Acme Bonding used to have their place set up until the other building caught on fire.
Right.
So that kind of put me out, and then the few people who really wanted to learn are like, well, we don't really need a school, just go ahead and teach us, and that's how I ended up working with like Marlo and a few other people.
But the original complaints they were investigating was
the original
graffiti?
Allegedly, graffiti on the train tunnel.
Okay.
And the description he gave to that was, well, pretty much half-assed. We came up here, he told me it was some mixed kid with long hair. Okay, and then when they filled out the police report, again, they were describing Eric Harris as a mixed kid with long hair. One, he's not mixed, two, he doesn't have long hair. He's like medium dark complected. Yeah, he'd be darker if he didn't sit inside and play video games all day, but he's not light enough to be considered mixed. Yeah. Like I said, there's a lot of little indiscrepancies in this, and you have to bear in mind, I have some investigative training, primarily from the fact that I've worked with, I work with guys who are connected to intelligence services and stuff like that. I won't go into any details, but yeah.
You're saying Marlo and they pretty much used Marlo and Eric fabricating some arrests to try to
They arrested them and told them they was going to dismiss the charges against them if they would say that I did it.
And what were you supposed to do? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Supposedly I was supposed to begin like some kind of kingpin organizing some whole little scheme for them to go in and beat the crap out of me. And
I got you, okay.
And the like I said, that's where the indiscrepancies come in at, especially with Stewart saying he came to my apartment on City Avenue and knocked on my door. From my understanding, from talking to my neighbors after the initial phone call and stuff, because I went asking around and I did record some of those conversations on my cell phone, my door had been kicked in
prior to that. Correct.
Prior to that. When he showed up, my door was already off the hinges.
Where was Corporal Stewart? How did you get video on Corporal Stewart? Cell phone or surveillance camera or what is it?
Laptop.
Just laptop.
He called my cell phone. I had my laptop with me and turned the phone on. Well, actually, I called him. When he first called me, he was talking about I hit some car on City Avenue. And I had already received a phone call from Amber's grandmother saying that Amber had called her grandmother to tell her grandmother that the cops were down there and the man had dropped my name and had basically made her drop my name. So I wasn't really sure what's going on. Now, Amber's statement doesn't even mention the Karen's statement does, and then according, again, to Corporal Stewart, Amber said some other stuff that wasn't on her report.
So when you say videos, you're talking about
video off of a laptop. I actually filmed
audio, or you filmed it? That's what I'm saying. How did you get film of him through your laptop if he's calling from?
Because I put the phone on speaker. That way the number shows up, you can see which number was being called, and when he was calling me, and had the whole...
Okay, but you don't actually have his picture sitting there calling, correct?
No, I have his voice.
You just had the voice. That's why when you said video, I'm thinking about a surveillance video.
Nothing like
just
that.
his voice with the number on the screen, and
it's
showing
that it was coming from that.
Gotcha. Yeah.
For example, the brake line stuff, it doesn't even have the guy on National Coal Collision who did it. I have a written statement from them, and like I said, there's enough of the tip of an iceberg to get you guys to go ahead and do your own investigation.
Where is Taryn at right now?
I have no idea. I don't keep up with him. I think he still lives on Carter Street. But like I said, I already dropped some of this information off with the long-term prosecutor's office because they cannot legally use evidence that they know has been corrupted. So I dropped that off to them for that reason.